it's the end of the season. I figure in addition to washing the RV itself, I'm also going to get the car washed, both inside and out. Outside is okay, so I'm just gonna run it through for a rinse. But inside, I think, has about a couple months worth of like dirt buildup and stuff like that. So while I'm doing that, in the process of doing so, I think I'll just spend a few minutes to talk about what it's been like to actually tow with this car. As you guys know, this is a 2018 Dodge Durango. It's a GT and it's a V6 all-wheel drive. So I know a lot of people feel much more confident with towing with a V8, but I figure I'd spend a few minutes to just talk about my experience and how the car has been towing for us on our first season. So let's get to the car wash, and then I'll see you guys from there. Alright, just cleaning some of the exhaust residues that has piled up over the season. There's no functional reason, it's mainly for aesthetics. It looks ugly. I already did this side a little bit, so I'm just gonna get it cleaned up a bit more, and we'll get to this side. Okay, so let's talk about what the towing experience was like with this Durango. And I would say for the most part, given the weight of the trailer and what we were estimating to be towing, somewhere around 5,000 pounds, for the most part it towed pretty well. In the Midwest here, we're mostly on flat lands, so it hasn't been a big issue. As far as mechanics are concerned, I'll just run down a quick list of everything. From a transmission standpoint, typically we were in the 6th gear. If we were encountering any kind of wind issues or inclines or whatever, it'll downshift into 5th gear. One thing that's really important to note is that the first time I towed, I had the eco mode on, and the eco mode is there to obviously tune the drivetrain to help you be as fuel efficient as possible. So the first couple times I towed, I had that on, and it felt like it was a struggle. So read the forums, and people were saying, like, turn your eco mode off and the computer will automatically just adjust. So did that, and then it just became a lot easier, and so that was really good. We did that early on this season, and then ever since then it never really felt like it was struggling, especially as we were traveling around the Midwest. From a temperature standpoint, I know people worry about that too. On average, when this car is not towing, it's running at around 188 to 190 degrees in terms of oil temperature. When we're towing, we typically will see it at around 210, hover between 210 to 215. But it, on an incline, it might go up a little bit to like 220 to 225. The highest that I've ever seen the temperature on a steep incline was when we were in Pennsylvania, and it went up to, I would say, like 240 maybe. But again, we were on a short, steep incline, and so I didn't mind that it was going up that high a little bit. I would say under no circumstances throughout the season, throughout our towing experience, were we in any danger of overheating. But again, I think this is just something to keep in mind and think about if you're trying to go on like go into the Rockies, or you know, if you really want to tackle Teton Pass your first time out, these are just things to think about. Do you really want to put your car under that kind of strain, knowing there are other reasons why you ended up with a V6 when you were picking a tow vehicle or when you were purchasing a vehicle, outside of just having to tow an RV for a season or so. So just something to keep in mind there. I guess the last thing I'll talk about is the fact that we've been towing without a towing mirror this season. Again, I have the placements, like I have the position of my rearview mirrors on the side of the vehicle pretty far out. That's kind of how I like it. You know, you can see my rearview mirror is, like I said, it's pointed, the position is pretty far and wide, so it does help me see what's behind us. Same thing on this side as well. I could just get a sense of where the side of my car is, but then most of the view is really focused on the road that's next to us. So I didn't really have any issues seeing towards the back where the trailer is. And when I lost my towing mirrors, of actually just bringing the RV home, I thought it was going to have a big impact, but it didn't. And throughout the entire season, no matter how many, like we towed 6,000 miles, so no matter how far we went, it was always without a towing mirror. Anyway, that's just a little bit on like the mechanics of towing with the Durango. It overall, it's towed well for us. I keep having this thing about maybe I do want to upgrade to a V8, but I don't, you know, after the season, I'm really comfortable with this vehicle, and we'll see, you know, we'll see what happens as we go on, and I probably don't want to do it until it's absolutely necessary. So that's more on the mechanics, and we'll talk more on the inside once I get a chance to clean it. All right, next thing we need to do is just to vacuum this up. It shouldn't be too bad. I think overall the car's in pretty good condition. It's just a lot of dirt. It's been tracked, sand from the beaches, so we'll just take care of that. Okay, we're on the inside, and really the main thing that I wanted to do was to wipe down the dash and the console. It's dirty before the season, so it's long overdue. So let's just go ahead and get that going. Okay, so here is what our setup is like inside the Durango. Up top we have our tire pressure monitoring system. This one is a tire minder, and I know it's not like top of the line. I don't have a big beautiful colorful screen, but I think the information that it provides here is pretty good. And also it's solar powered, so I never really had to plug it in to charge. Outside of a couple days where it was really cloudy, but it usually just sticks up here, and it charges fine. So like I've had it turned off for a while and it's still got 3 bars, so that's actually worked pretty well. And then you have our Garmin RV navigation device here. This has been really helpful in helping us understand like what our current elevation is, any kind of uphills or downhills, and how severe the grade is. All those start to factor into your fuel economy, where if you have a route that is that has a lot of inclines, then you know obviously you can't expect your fuel economy to be, you know, 12 or 13 on average. And if you're going downhill, obviously it's a little bit better, but then you have to, you know, figure out how much brake wear there might be. You know, how do you manage your brakes, and so on and so forth. So I think having that knowledge at your disposal is really helpful, especially for the route. The other thing that this was really helpful with is helping us find and understand any kind of rest areas, gas stations, pit stops, if we want to make them, that are up ahead. It's all part of the interface. So it's been really good. We use this mainly for like long travel days, when we need to get from like a point from where we are to the vicinity of point B. It's all been pretty smooth. And then I have my phone on a magnet holder here. Usually I would just plug this in with that cable, and then Android Auto pops up on the screen here, so that's also a convenience because we load up a lot of podcasts that we just listened to. And then you see down here is our trailer brake controller. So again, if you're on a downhill and it's a pretty severe grade and you're on it for maybe like a mile or two, you start to want to figure out, like, how do you balance the brakes? Do you use the trailer brakes more or less? What your setting is at, so all that starts to come into play. But overall, this from top to bottom, these 4 things have been our setup. What I really like is that it doesn't really block. There's no major blockage of our viewpoint out the windshield, and it gives us everything we need to tow this vehicle.